everybody, and welcome to Marty Motoring. I'm out here in Arizona for the F-only meet. So we're here with the owner, Clayton. He has a 2011 ISF that is supercharged with the RR Racing Supercharger kit. So I'll cut some clips in here and you can check it out. Definitely hear that supercharger. And this is the RR Racing Supercharger. Sounds awesome.
So I'm running a 2011 Lexus ISF with RR Racing Supercharged setup stage 3. I purchased this car 5 years ago, but it's kind of a funny story. I was looking for a fast car and my wife insisted that I had to have a 4-door, something with 4 doors. Amongst my search and looking for the fastest 4-door car, I had a few qualifications that need to be met for me. My wife, one, wanted a 4-door. 2, for me to buy a fast car with 4 doors, it had to have the ability to potentially go to 200 miles an hour. And I wanted to see that the odometer on the car at least read 200 miles an hour. That was number 2. Number 3, I wanted a car that was not electronically limited at 155. So I found out that this one was electronically limited around 170, 172. Most manufacturers limit their cars electronically at a max speed of 155, with the exception of Porsche and Mercedes-AMG. Then I ran across this Lexus that wasn't electronically limited. The odometer reads over 200 miles an hour, and my wife's happy it had 4 doors. And I've always been a Lexus man in the first place. This is my 3rd Lexus now, and I wanted something reliable, and I knew about Lexus reliability. It was an easy sell for me to buy this. I bought it used 5 years ago. It had about 25,000 miles on it when I bought it, and now I'm sitting at 85,000 miles, and every time I drive this car, I got a smile on my face. I purchased my Supercharger about 3 years ago now. I was one of the first 10 to have the Supercharger from RR Racing. So it's been 3 years now on the car. Definitely a big difference in power versus running NA. And it's just a night and day difference. I remember when I was first checking into it, a guy down in San Diego had the Supercharger kit, and I wanted to go for a test drive with him before I bought it, because it's hard to imagine the difference until you experience it. And he took me for a ride, and it was like night and day. Huge difference versus NA. And I love the extra power.
So what kind of horsepower is this putting down?
Right now, it's putting 725 horsepower from the crank. It dynoed out at 650 horsepower to the wheels.
That's a lot. That's a good amount, especially these are 5.0 liter V8s, and they come with 416 from the factory, and that's to the crank, not to the wheels. So the fact that you're making those numbers is awesome just with the RR Racing Supercharger kit. I know we are in Arizona here, so they're limited to 91 octane, but you're actually running E85.
This car is now set up to run 100% E85 all the time. I cannot run 91 octane anymore.
It seems like it's kind of a struggle to find the E85 out here sometimes. From what I've heard, it seems like there's only certain stations that have it, where kind of where I'm from in Pennsylvania, every Sheetz gas station has some type of higher ethanol content gasoline, at least in my area. But out here, it seems like there's only a few stations. He came all the way from California to Arizona for this meet, and I flew all the way out here, and here we are cruising along in a supercharged ISF.
There's certainly a trade-off with running the full 85. but I think it's worth it for the power gains. I gained 100 horsepower more with the Stage 3 kit running full 85 versus just pump 91 fuel. Sometimes I do have to carry extra gas in my trunk, especially for trips to Arizona, because the two closest E85 gas stations across the desert are 225 miles apart. So I only average about maybe at tops 10 miles per gallon. And that's driving it semi-aggressively, not just sitting at 55 miles an hour, but it's certainly worth it, and you can feel the difference in power.
So as far as mods, I'll just let you handle the mods.
The list is long, and I'll just name the major ones, but obviously this is the Supercharged Stage 3 full 100% E85 setup, 725 horsepower from the crank. I've just installed the new exhaust. I've got the Grady titanium exhaust now with the PPE headers, of course, two-piece racing rig rotors front and back. Typically run Project Mu race pads, the R&R coilover, road and track coilover setup on this. Toe links from Megan Racing. I also have a OS Geiken in the rear end. That's been one of my most favorite upgrades because I track the car a lot, and it's a major difference versus the stock LSD. I could really feel a difference. This OS Geiken was specifically tuned for my horsepower, so it helps me get around the corners, and I love it. I also have 3 different wheel and tire setups for this car. I run the factory rims with Super Cup 2s on the street for now. I have a drag setup with slicks with Forged Star rims that I use for the drag strip, and for the road course racing I run Inky PF01s. With right now I'm running Nito NT01 tires for square setup 275s all the way around front and rear, so I can rotate. Along with the Stage 3 kit, I'm also running a fuel surge tank with a Warboro 450 fuel pump inside the fuel surge tank. It really helps out keeping the fuel pressure steady, and more importantly, it helps not starve the motor, especially on heavy turning and banks on the road course racing. I also, with the Stage 3 setup, had to swap out the fuel injectors. The port injectors are 550cc port injectors. I'm still running the factory direct injectors, but you need to switch them out if you're going to do the E85 setup, because you've got to spray more fuel.
So you were saying about being limited with the top speed. What is the top speed you've done in this? Can you say?
The limiter has been removed in this vehicle. Yes, I can say. I participated in an event called Mojave Mile, and that was at a Mojave Airport, and I was able to get this car up to a top speed of 191 miles an hour, and it still had more to go. 191 miles an hour, and that was with 100 less horsepower than I'm running right now. So literally, this thing flies.
So he's actually running a Cybon carbon fiber hood, as well as the trunk, and the wing is an Alfega wing. Tell me about this steering wheel, because it's really bright and red carbon. It looks really cool with that digital display.
It's connected through the OBD mount, and as you can see here, I'll downshift. It'll tell me when to upshift the car. So it'll flash red like a race car.
And you can hear that supercharger.
So I just installed this. I got this from Elvin, and on social media, it's on Instagram. He does a lot of the carbon fiber steering wheels and shift paddles and inserts.
I like the red, and the digital display in the steering wheel is like a game changer, especially with that light there. It's just super cool. It's like a game almost.
This is the gauge that measures my ethanol content. This is 74 right now. For Arizona, that's really good. Most stations here in Arizona run about E50, but the local guys have turned me on to the one station that has the good stuff, and this is the good stuff. Normally at home, I'm running on average E80, which is a difference in power. You can definitely feel it, but you can see that here on the gauge. E75 for Arizona is very good.
So you might see the carbon bits and the supercharger and the really cool racing wheel and be like, oh, full race car. But this car is still very functional. It has the full interior in the rear. It's got the bolstery seats with Alcantara. It's still very, very functional car. I mean, it rides really nice. We're just cruising down the road here. As far as like function over form, what's your view? Like, you wanted this to be fast and handle well, but still kind of maintain the quality of Lexus. I see it's not like stripped out or anything.
It's a fine line. You know, do you really want to strip out the interior? Yes, I would love the weight savings, because I really like to do road course racing. That's my favorite type of racing. I like to drive fast and go around corners and push cars. So if I could drop some weight on the car, that'd be great, obviously. But I don't want to sacrifice the interior yet. I'm not at that point. I know there's some guys out there that have done that, and there's weight there to be saved. But I wanted something I could cruise around in on the streets and still keep it relatively quiet cabin without going too insane.
I think this is the fastest Lexus ISF I've been in. I've driven a bunch, and yeah, this is definitely the fastest, the most horsepower.
Like ear to ear every time I drive this car.
Lots of fun mods and lots of power. Thanks for watching and coming on this ride along. Big shout out to Clayton for taking me on the track. It was a super fun experience. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you're new to Marty Motoring, hit that subscribe button. And as always, leave a little rubber on the road.